Did you see this? Home sales tumbling in December to their lowest level in 3 years. Lenders are now turning to unconventional mortgages to help borrowers with unusual circumstances, including those who can't provide standard proofs of income. So we ask, have we learned anything from the past, the financial crisis? What do you guys think?
We never learn, in lending, we never learn anything from the past. All lending tends toward lousy credit quality over time. What happens is loans are standard things. It's hard to compete. I mean, the rate is the rate, the terms are the terms. So what do banks do when they want to gain share? They dip down in borrower quality. The good news here is that these unconventional loans are only about 3% of the market, so I don't think we're setting up for some sort of systemic blow-up, but yeah, they should have learned, and they haven't quite learned.
Well, it's not any fun, guys, if we don't have a little excess here and there. And I'll tell you what else is actually helping us is the fact that a lot of homes have not quite recovered even from those, say, 2006, 2007 highs and the subsequent drop in the financial crisis. A lot of still negative equity is out there, and a lot of home prices haven't bounced back up, as I said. So the lack of, say, this reappreciation that, hey, chip off a piece of your house and take it down to the bank and get a bag of cash, those days are long gone. They're probably staying gone because housing, to me, looks like it's flattening out.
I was just talking to a mortgage lender, and he said, oh, I just did an unconventional loan yesterday. It's happening all the time now. So this is definitely increasing. But he says you have to put a higher down payment as a result of having to prove your income in other ways, like showing 1 to 2 years of bank statements, for instance.
This will really sort of test the theory of Dodd-Frank, of the Consumer Protection Bureau, all of these regulations and all of these things that we put in place to supposedly prevent this from ever happening again, from ever having a financial crisis happen again. We'll see, you know, if government intervention and regulation really does work. You can probably tell that I have a hint of skepticism in my voice.
Yeah, well, but two things that should have been done have been done. One is, why haven't we denationalized Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac?
Absolutely.
Because they'd never take those mortgages if they didn't think the government was going to back them up. The other thing is start focusing on state and local levels on regulations that make it impossible to build affordable housing. In this town, New York City, impossible. So you have 10 people in Manhattan living in a single apartment. So regulations...
Only when you're in your 20s, Steve. Come on.
Well, I'm still in my 20s.
Well, Steve's in his 20s.
Yeah, by my counting and Washington's counting. But you tackle those two things. No more government backstop and start focusing on regulations, what this administration is willing to do. Boom, housing problem gone.
That's the dangerous game, though. Is the government really out of this? Yes, Fannie and Freddie, but I mean, let's say, guys, hey, another 2008-like financial crisis walks up. The Federal Reserve has talked about, you know, these stress tests. Is the government really out of these banks' business if they go down the road that they did in 07, 08? I don't think so.
Well, if you denationalize, sell off Freddie and Fannie, break them up into 6 or 8 parts, sell them off, those private companies know they're not going to have access to the Treasury anymore. They might behave a little differently.
I feel like this term here, unconventional mortgages, is a little bit kind of tame for, you know, you haven't proven that you can pay your mortgage. We're going to make you a loan. The term should be a little short. It's like me saying, I want to sell you some sushi that's been on the shelf an unconventional length of time. Are you interested? It doesn't sound very appealing.
I think that's what I ate at Fox today.
Sounds great. Here's the thing, though, guys, too. What about Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, though, recently? Remember this whole thing when the market was freaking out? Yeah, the market was freaking out about interest rates, and all of a sudden, you know, Christmas Eve, he makes this call to all the guys in the banks to say, hey, is everybody okay? Do you guys need anything for Christmas? The Federal Reserve, the Treasury, they're all in this together. They're all backstopping the banks if something else like that happens, I'm telling you.
Have faith in free markets. It'll solve the problem if the government would let it.
All right.
There are plenty of countries with higher home ownership than we have, and they don't have all of these apparatuses in place.
Speaking of other countries, chaos in Venezuela as protests erupt across the country.